All right, what's our next step? We figured out our text blocking, and then we used defont.com or other resources online to find something with the character we want that we can modify, that we can basically redraw, right? And so I found it for two different ones. I took screen grabs of them, one for always, a lot chunkier, and one for changing, which is a lot slimmer. And now what we need to do is turn these into vectors and place them, design them, lay them out to match our text blocking sketch. So for now, this text blocking sketch, I am going to change its image size. And I'm going to make it 16 by 20 inches at a resolution of 350. Okay, now I want you to notice this. This is just a reminder of vectors and smart objects. So what I sketched, you can see how it got a lot softer because I just increased the resolution quite a bit. And unfortunately, my spot illustration really got softened a lot. And that's because I had merged it here. But watch, as I delete these, here, I'll leave that one open last. Underneath that, I have a smart object of my spot illustration. And my smart object was designed to be pretty big, right? When I colored it. I did it at 11 by 14 or something by 350. So now when I turn this off, not that one off, this one off, you'll see how it's sharpened again. So the difference between this, you see how blurry it is, and this, that's because it's a smart object. It's a smart object where I built in all that grain into the texture. Now, I'll always keep it as a separate layer, but now this is the actual resolution of my finished poster in a Photoshop document. So 16 by 20 by 350. So at this point, I can save this. I'm going to delete the files I don't need. And just keep a blank white background. Wait, I deleted too much today. Need that one. Don't need these. And then I'll keep the white background, just like digital coloring, underneath it all. So a white background on the bottom, because that's going to help form my border. I have my text blocking sketch. I have my free-floating spot illustration. And it's at 16 by 20 by 350 pixels per inch. All good. So now I want to save this as my assignment 6 in progress. So let's call it snake poster as a PSD to my assignment 6 always changing folder. All right, now I can close this for now. And then that screenshot that I took, this low resolution mock-up, notice how I screenshotted it with a black border? That's just helpful for me in Illustrator to see what that format is. Now I'm going to open that in Adobe Illustrator. Because again, it doesn't matter what the resolution is in Illustrator. This is how I'm going to make my vector type. And the goal by the end of class today is to finish your black vector type. So we have an hour to do that. So we move with purpose here, with a lot of decision. Just like when we were doing our logo designs, we brought in our refined sketch, just like when we were doing our line art, and we brought in our sketch for our line art in the last assignment. We bring our text blocking sketch into Illustrator, and we click on layers, we double click on the layer, and we onion skin it. I'm going to dim it to 50%, right? Then we lock that. That's a reference layer. We make a new layer on top. It will be red with the anchors. And now this is what we do. This is different. Instead of this, like setting black with no stroke as our default, going to the type tool, and then typing in always changing. This is one way you can do it. I'll just do always first. This is the advantage of actually downloading the OTF or TTF, is now I can go to those type settings under properties. You see the red line underneath it, that means it's a type tool. And I can choose the typeface. So it was called Amoria, and now you can see that Amoria is one of those options, right? Along with all the options that are also already built into Adobe programs. Right. So if you didn't find something on DaFont, it can take a little bit longer, but you'll probably find something here that can get you close to what you want. So Amoria. There it is. Okay, now what are the other options I have? Well, just like a word processor, you will have font options. Remember, that's the typeface. These are the fonts. Because I got this from DaFont, DaFont usually does not code any bold, italic, any font options. But we can cheat those in Illustrator if we want. And then there's the text size. And then there's the leading, which is the space between lines of type. And then most importantly, for what we're doing, the kerning. So look, I can adjust the kerning on anything I've selected. And if I make it negative, you see how it will push everything together. Right? I can even get it to overlap, like Stranger Things. And Art Nouveau does have pretty close kerning. I can increase the size of the incipit. Right? That kind of thing. But this way is a little limited. So if I use my large selection tool, the black arrow, I can grow it, I can stretch it, but I can't warp it. So how do I get it to go onto a curve? And how do I get the W to float up here? It's all pretty tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, as a type tool still, you can see it under layers. This is why this is a way you can play with and kind of learn more on your own. I can copy it. The big advantage is that makes it editable. But now what I'm going to do is make a new layer, turn this one off, and I'm going to draw with just my pen the curve that I want my type to sit on. So I'm going to start here and here, set the curve, which looks like that. It's a little extreme on that side. Whoops. So I'll round it out like that, and then we can modify it. There we go. So that's closer to the curve I want on that top edge. Now I'm going to turn that into what's called an empty path by making it an empty fill and an empty stroke. Why did I just do that? So that I can go to the type tool, and now I say the type on path tool. And then I paste in my text, right? And what's beautiful about that, if you're using the type tools, is I can use the pencil tool to redraw that line to kind of fit in that close kerned text in different ways, right? And modify it accordingly. So I can have it do things that you can't do in other word processors or even in Photoshop. Like I can have it line up on an S curve, as long as I start on the path and end on the path. But you see how that's all pretty clunky? What's the advantage of it? It's then I can use the text on path tool and add like spaces between, or change it to a different letter or a different typeface. Like just say, okay, this one under properties, I want to make this a little bit different. So I'm going to make it like that. You know, you have a lot of flexibility What I'm going to teach you, especially because you don't always have control of uploading typefaces, is instead of using the type tool on that new layer, so I'm going to erase this one, we are going to live trace, so that's it straight being modified. We are going to bring in our screen grabs, which are raster images, right? We drag and drop them in. With the large selection tool, we can squeeze them. I can't curve it yet, right? I could go into Photoshop and like curve it and warp it and stuff, but this will work. Now what I want to do, oops, don't have to hit return. Now what you want to do is go to Properties, and you're going to image trace it. You're going to do it as a black and white logo. You're going to go to Advanced Options, and you're going to turn off the background color. Ignore the color, so it's just the black. And then you're going to expand it. So remember, before you hit expand, it's previewing it as a vector. And it might be a little chunky in some places, but we're going to be controlling that ourselves. So now when I expand it, now it is a full set of anchor points that I can fully modify. And because the kerning is not touching here, that means I can select individual. If I go to my layers, you'll see it's in a group, and I can select individual typefaces or individual letters. And I can turn off the rest just so they don't distract right now. Just focus on the A with my large selection tool. And now I can stretch it and place it and get it close to my text blocking. You don't have to hit return, you just click off. Next, I'm going to do the L. I'm going to lock the A so I don't accidentally select it. So this is really understanding your kind of composite, whoops. There we go. Your compositing skills within Illustrator. And then just using that large selection tool to set your angle. And this text is obviously designed to be horizontal and vertical, but I'm going to be hand placing it, hand setting the kerning. And I don't have to hit return. I always forget about that. You just have to click off. Now the W, that's going to be different. So I lock the L, open up these others, just want the W. Select that. Use this. This is going to be straight up and down. But I'm going to redesign it so it looks a little more like the crown. Right? So maybe the points will be there and there. A little bit more space. Okay. Now the next A, lock that. So you're really treating each letter in your text blocking. Depends how customized you want it to be. I'm going to start turning it the other way here. You're controlling each one. You don't have to hit return. You just have to click off. And now the Y. And lastly, the S. So this is sometimes what's called typesetting. You're taking your typeface, the individual letters, and you're setting the type next to each other with your desired amount of space, the space between